Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Howard on Sports. My name is Howard. And tonight, I want to talk about the two different philosophies when it comes to drafting. One philosophy says draft the player that you have a need for, and the other just says draft the most talented player that you can get your hands on. So the Giants, which is the team I root for, they have the third pick, and they really need a quarterback. But the experts say that neither of the top two quarterbacks that are going to be available in this draft are that great. So I don't know who the Giants are going to have access to by the time their pick comes around. But if they have a chance to draft Abdul Carter, who's a defensive end from Penn State, many people consider him to be the most talented player in the draft. So to me, because the Giants have been pretty bad for many years, I say get the best player you can get. And if Abdul Carter is going to be a real difference maker, then that's who I want. Now, granted, they're not going to have a good quarterback if they don't draft one, but maybe they can sign one in free agency for a year or two and then try again next year in the draft. That's what I would do. But it's risky to do that because if they do draft a quarterback as the third pick, maybe he'll be at least decent. Because even if you get Abdul Carter and he dominates on defense, if you have total garbage at quarterback, you're not going to win. So it's hard to say what to do. But I do remember, speaking of the Giants, back in 1981, they drafted Lawrence Taylor. They had the second pick, and he turned out to be the best linebacker in the history of football. But they already had a pretty good linebacking core. So I'm sure there were people at the time that questioned that move and probably said, well, they don't need a linebacker. They should really try to help out in other positions. But Lawrence Taylor was so good, it didn't matter. You know, they went from a good linebacking core to a great linebacking core because of Lawrence Taylor. And it was well worth making that selection at number 2. So it could be the same thing this year for the Giants. Maybe if they can get Abdul Carter at 3, you get him. You get that great player, and then you worry about the quarterback next year. So it's hard to say. You know, there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it. But if it was up to me, I think I would take Abdul Carter because, you know, when you get a generational player, I feel that's the player you should take.